Microorganisms. Lesson Preview. Habitats of microorganisms. Types of microorganisms. Useful microorganisms. Vaccine. Harmful microorganisms. Food poisoning. Food preservation. Nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen cycle. A very large number of organisms are present on our planet. They vary in size, shape, and color. Some of these organisms cannot be seen with the naked eye. They can be seen only through a microscope. That is why these are called microorganisms or microbes. The branch of science which deals with the study of microbes is called microbiology. Scientists who study microorganisms are called microbiologists. Activity. Take a few drops of water from a pond or a river. Spread them on a glass slide and observe under a microscope. What do you observe? You will see tiny organisms moving around. Spiral bacteria. Rod-shaped bacteria. Habitats of microorganisms. Microorganisms may be unicellular like bacteria, algae like chlamydomonas, protozoa like amoeba and paramecium, or multicellular. They are found everywhere. They can survive in all types of habitats. They can live in ice-cold water, salty water, hot springs, hot deserts, marshy land, etc. They are also found inside the bodies of animals including humans. Some of them grow on other organisms while others exist freely. Some microorganisms like amoeba live alone, whereas fungi and bacteria live in colonies. Some microbes live in cracks in the ocean floor, and some can even survive a volcanic eruption. Microorganisms are hardy because they form a hard outer covering called a cyst around themselves when conditions are unfavorable, such as extreme conditions of temperature and dryness. In this duration, they remain inactive within cyst until conditions become favorable. Types of microorganisms. Microorganisms can be classified into 5 major groups. Bacteria. Singular, bacterium. Protozoa. Singular, protozoan. Viruses. Singular, virus. Algae. Singular, alga. Fungi. Singular, fungus. Bacteria. Bacteria are simple, unicellular living things found almost everywhere in air, water, soil, and in bodies of most other organisms, including human beings. They grow and multiply rapidly. One bacterium divides to form 2 bacteria in 10 to 30 minutes. Nearly 250 crore bacteria are present in 1 gram of garden soil. Each bacterial cell can exist singly, but sometimes bacteria cling together to form a chain or group of cells. Bacteria are found mainly in 3 different shapes: rod-shaped, bacilli, spherical, cocci, spiral, spirilla. Bacilli, cocci, spirilla. Algae. Algae are simple aquatic plants having cell walls and chlorophyll within the cells. They can be both unicellular as well as multicellular. They produce their own food by photosynthesis. They have no true roots, stems, or leaves. Almost all algae live in water, ponds, lakes, and seas. Some algae live in snow, while some are found in hot springs. They can also grow in wet soil, barks of trees, and rock surfaces. Spirogyra. Chlamydomonas. Fucus. Laminaria. Protozoa. Protozoa are unicellular organisms having animal-like features. They can move about, capture and eat food. Some protozoa live in fresh water or salt water, while some live in soil. Some live as parasites in bodies of other organisms, including humans. Amoeba, paramecium and giardia are some common types of protozoa. Giardia. Amoeba. Paramecium. Fungi. Fungi are plant-like organisms which do not contain chlorophyll. They may be unicellular or multicellular. Yeasts are unicellular, while bread mold is multicellular. Mushrooms are large multicellular fungi. Fungi cannot make their own food. They are either parasites or saprophytes, feeding on dead or decaying plant or animal matter. Fungi are found everywhere, from hot deserts to very cold regions. They grow best in moist and warm places. Penicillium. Yeast. Agaricus. Mushroom. Rhizopus. Bread mold. Viruses. Viruses are the smallest of all microorganisms. They do not have a cellular structure like other microbes. They are too small to be seen with a simple microscope. To observe viruses, scientists use an electron microscope that magnifies an object to more than 2 lakh times. Viruses cannot reproduce by themselves. They cannot react to changes or use energy or grow. This appears to indicate that viruses are non-living things. However, when a virus enters the living cell of an organism like that of a human, it is able to reproduce, using the energy of the host cell. When thousands of viruses are formed in the host cell, it often dies. When the host cell dies, it bursts and the viruses spread and invade other cells. As a large number of host cells die, the person falls ill. Since reproduction is a very important characteristic of life, scientists regard viruses as a link between living and non-living, and have placed them on the line dividing the living and the lifeless. Tobacco mosaic virus. Adenovirus. Influenza virus. Microorganisms play an important role in human life. They are divided into 2 classes based on their behavior. Useful microorganisms. Harmful microorganisms. Useful microorganisms. Microorganisms are useful to us in various ways. They are used in the preparation of curd, bread, cake, etc. In the production of alcohol. In the cleaning of the environment by decomposing organic matter into harmless and useful substances. In the preparation of some medicines. In agriculture, for improving the soil fertility by fixing nitrogen from the atmosphere. Use of microorganisms in food production. Curd contains a number of microorganisms. The bacterium Lactobacillus multiplies in milk and converts it into curd. Bacteria like Lactobacillus and Streptococcus are also used in the production of cheese and paneer. Activity. Take a bowl of lukewarm milk. Add a teaspoon of curd to it. Stir well and cover the bowl with a plate. Leave the bowl undisturbed for 5 to 6 hours. What do you see? The milk has changed into curd. You must have seen your mother kneading the dough for bhatura with curd, or mixing curd with rava to make idlis. Do you know why? Activity. Take a cup of maida. Add a teaspoon of sugar and milk with water. Add a small amount of dried yeast powder. Knead with water to make a soft dough. Leave the dough covered for 2 hours. After 2 hours, you will see that the dough has risen up and has become fluffy. Maida plus sugar plus yeast. 2 hours. Raised dough. Yeast reproduces rapidly, producing carbon dioxide during respiration. Bubbles of gas fill the dough and cause it to rise. This is the reason why yeast is used in baking industry for making breads, pastries, and cake. Commercial use of microorganisms. Certain microorganisms are used for the large-scale production of alcohol, wine, and acetic acid, vinegar. Yeast is used in the commercial production of alcohol and wine. It involves fermentation of sugar present in barley, wheat, rice, grapes, crushed fruit juices, etc. Fermentation by yeast produces alcohol and carbon dioxide. The process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is known as fermentation. Bacteria are useful in tobacco, leather, For tanning and jute industries, bacteria separate the fibers from rest of the tissues on submerging jute plants in water. Activity: take about 250 milliliters water in a beaker. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of sugar in it. Add a little yeast powder, half a teaspoon, to the solution, and stir. Cover the beaker and allow it to stand for about 4 hours in a warm place without disturbing it. Then smell the solution. The solution smells like alcohol. Medicinal uses of microorganisms. Some bacteria and fungi are used in the preparation of medicines called antibiotics. These medicines kill or stop the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. Some of the commonly used antibiotics made from fungi and bacteria are penicillin, obtained from fungus Penicillium, streptomycin, and tetracycline, both obtained from Streptomyces bacteria. Antibiotics are manufactured by growing specific microorganisms. They are used to cure a number of diseases both in humans and animals. Antibiotics are mixed with livestock feed to check microbial infections in animals. They are also used to control many plant diseases. Remember to take antibiotics only on the advice of a qualified doctor, as they kill the beneficial bacteria in your body. Vaccine. Antibodies are produced by the body when a disease-causing microbe enters it. These antibodies fight and destroy the disease-causing microbe and remain in the body to fight future infection by the same microbe. A vaccine is a preparation of a weakened or killed forms of disease-causing microbe needed to immunize against a particular disease. Several diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, and hepatitis can be prevented by vaccination. Children must be vaccinated to safeguard against these diseases at appropriate ages. Vaccines are easily available in hospitals and health centers. Do you know Edward Jenner, an English physician, discovered the first vaccine against smallpox? Smallpox was effectively eradicated through vaccination by 1979. Increasing soil fertility. Cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, fix the nitrogen present in the air as soluble nitrogen compounds in the soil, thereby increasing the fertility of soil. The blue-green algae are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. Cleaning the environment. Some bacteria and fungi act on the bodies of dead plants and animals and convert them into simple substances. The nutrients released in the soil in this process are used by the plants again. Removal of dead bodies by microbial action keeps our environment clean. Some bacteria decompose sewage and other wastes in water. Anaerobic bacteria degrade animal dung into biogas and the leftover is used as manure. Remember, microbes cannot degrade polythene bags, glass bottles, etc. Harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are also harmful in many ways. They cause diseases in human beings, plants, and animals. The disease-causing microorganisms are called pathogenic microorganisms or pathogens. Table. Some common diseases caused by pathogens. Human disease. Causative pathogen. Mode of transmission. Preventive measures. Cholera, typhoid. Bacteria. Food/water. Maintain proper sanitation practices. Boil water before drinking. Avoid eating uncovered food. Vaccinate. Tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox, polio. Bacteria, virus. Air/contact air/water. Vaccinate. Isolate the patient. Keep the belongings of the patient separately. Malaria. Protozoa. Mosquito. Use mosquito repellents and nets. Control breeding of mosquitoes by spraying insecticides. Do not allow stagnant water to collect. Pathogens enter the body of a healthy person through air, water, and food. They can also spread from an infected person to a healthy one. They may also be carried through an animal. Diseases that can spread from one person to another through air, water, food or physical contact are called communicable diseases. Some examples of communicable diseases are measles, common cold, chickenpox, tuberculosis, etc. Modes of transmission of diseases. Droplet spread. When an infected person suffering from whooping cough or common cold coughs or sneezes, tiny drops of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are spread in the air. These droplets may enter another healthy person's body while breathing. This is the reason why we should keep a handkerchief on the nose and mouth while sneezing. It is also advisable to keep a safe distance from an infected person. Vector-borne transmission. There are some insects and animals which act as carriers of disease-causing microbes. Housefly feeds on garbage, human excreta, etc. When it sits on them, pathogens may stick to its body. When it sits on food, these germs get transferred to the food. When a person eats these food items, the pathogens enter his/her body and cause diseases. Female Anopheles mosquito is another carrier of disease. It carries the parasite of malaria. Female Aedes mosquito acts as a carrier of dengue virus. Housefly. Anopheles mosquito. Aedes mosquito. Always keep the food covered. Do not allow dirty water to collect anywhere in the neighborhood as mosquitoes breed in water. Disease-causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms also cause diseases in animals. Anthrax is a serious bacterial disease of sheep and cattle. Foot and mouth disease is caused in cattle by a virus. Disease-causing microorganisms in plants. Microorganisms also cause diseases in plants such as wheat, rice, potato, sugarcane, orange, apple, and cotton. Plant diseases reduce the yield of crops. These diseases can be controlled by the use of disease-resistant varieties of seeds and spraying of certain chemicals on the plants which kill the microbes. Table. Some common plant diseases caused by microorganisms. Plant disease. Crop. Mode of transmission. Microorganism. Citrus canker. Orange. Air. Bacteria. Rust of wheat. Wheat. Air. Seeds. Fungus. Apple scab. Apple. Air. Fungus. Blast. Paddy. Air. Fungus. Yellow vein mosaic in okra. Okra. Insect. Virus. Food poisoning. Many bacteria and fungi spoil food like milk, meat, fruits, and vegetables. These microorganisms sometimes produce toxic substances on the food they grow on, making it unfit for human consumption. If we eat such food, we may suffer from severe vomiting and diarrhea. The illness is called food poisoning. The Staphylococcus, Salmonella, and Clostridium botulinum can cause food poisoning. Food preservation. We need to preserve food to prevent it from spoilage. The process of preventing the spoilage of food items due to the action of microbes by using physical or chemical methods is called food preservation. Some common methods of food preservation are heat and cold treatments. Boiling kills many microorganisms. Milk and water are thus boiled to kill harmful microbes that may be present in them. We also keep food in the refrigerator as microbes cannot thrive at low temperatures. Pasteurization. Pasteurization is a technique of preserving milk. The process of pasteurization involves heating milk to 71.7 degrees Celsius for at least 15 seconds, and not more than 25 seconds, and then chilling and storing it quickly. This process kills the microorganisms in the milk and prevent the bacteria from growing without affecting the taste. Thus, pasteurized milk can be directly consumed without boiling. This technique was discovered by a French scientist named Louis Pasteur in the 19th century. Dehydration. The removal of water from fruits and vegetables is called dehydration. Removal of water slows down the growth of microorganisms. Hence, food items like pulses and cereals are dried in the sun to remove the moisture before storing. By using salt and sugar, jams, jellies, and squashes are preserved using sugar. High concentration of sugar slows down the bacterial growth and prevents food spoilage. Meat, pickles, and fish are preserved with the help of common salt. High salt concentration, 15 to 18%, removes water from the food materials. This checks the growth of bacteria. Amla, raw mangoes, and tamarind are preserved by salting. By using oil and vinegar are used to preserve pickles as bacteria are not able to live in such an environment. Vegetables, fruits, meat, and fish are also preserved by this method. By using chemical preservatives, food is also preserved with the help of chemicals which check the growth of food-spoiling microorganisms. Substances which help to preserve food or any other item are called preservatives. This method of food preservation is called chemical preservation. Sodium benzoate and potassium metabisulfite are used to preserve ketchup, squashes, fruit juices, jams, jellies, etc. By vacuum packaging, you must have seen packets of snacks like wafers, kurkure, etc. in sealed airtight packaging. The air from these packets has been removed by evacuation and flushed with oxygen-free nitrogen. Nitrogen fixation. The process of converting free atmospheric nitrogen into useful nitrogenous compounds is called nitrogen fixation. You have already learnt how rhizobia help in nitrogen fixation in the previous classes. They live in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Do you know nitrogen fixation also takes place during lightning? When lightning strikes, nitrogen and oxygen react to form nitric acid. This nitric acid is washed down with rain and reacts with limestone present in the soil to form nitrates. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen, as you know, comprises about 78% of the atmosphere. It is required by all living organisms. It is an important constituent of proteins, chlorophyll, nucleic acid, and vitamins. The atmospheric nitrogen has to be first converted into nitrogenous compounds before it can be utilized by plants and animals. This is done by certain bacteria and blue-green algae present in the soil. Nitrogen compounds are then taken up by roots of plants and used for the synthesis of plant proteins. Animals obtain nitrogen by feeding on plants. When plants and animals die, the bacteria and fungi present in the soil convert the nitrogenous waste into nitrogenous compounds, some denitrifying. Bacteria convert part of them into free nitrogen gas. This nitrogen escapes into the atmosphere. Thus, the atmospheric nitrogen gets cycled in nature and its level remains more or less constant in the atmosphere. This process is called nitrogen cycle.